Shalom, shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Harakakwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone who rule and teach well, and honors and salutations to the men of the Lord doing the same. All right. Spiritual rant once again, just speaking on prophecy. All right, because I was instead of just showing one news clip, I would just talk about a lot of them, for the ones I can remember, all right, and just go from there, okay. But I want to start off with Iran announcing that Iran has successfully tested its first nuclear missile, okay. And we know according to prophecy. And I'm gonna be going to Revelation 13 and 14. But according to prophecy, World War III is not gonna go nuclear until the mark of the beast, the RFID chip, is made mandatory. Okay? So after the mark of the beast is made mandatory, and forced on everybody, then not too long after that, then the nuclear missiles is gonna fly. Okay, and Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah set up these prophecies so beautiful. Okay, and you can see the format and see how the Lord is shortening the days and shortening the times in the sequence that these prophecies is taking place. Okay, and I'm gonna start off with this one because that's major news, and I believe that was last year or not that long ago. Trump announced that they had destroyed Iran nuclear facilities and stuff like that. And then of course Iran came out and said they had already moved their nuclear equipment. And plus we know according to prophecy, and because Iran has allies, Russia and China, so they're going to get all their weaponry from there. Okay. So it was only a matter of a time, and this is what this prophecy is talking about. Joel and Iran, the Persians are within prophecy when it comes. They're a major part in prophecy when it comes to World War III. All right, the Battle of Armageddon, also known as the Valley of Jehoshaphat, or the Valley of Yahweh Shaphat. Okay, so this Joel 3:9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the heathen nations. Prepare a war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. Okay, and the weak are saying that they're strong. Okay, such as Iran. They're getting, you have nations such as Iran, all right, and others, they're getting their hands on high-level weaponry, high-level weapons of mass destruction, from connections with, Russia and China. Okay, so they're getting nuclear missiles, they're getting all type of short-range ballistic missiles. Okay, and I just seen before starting the lesson, I seen this clip. I forgot the name, the name of the launch, but supposedly, according to the news clip, Iran just launched this barrage. It happened, I think, earlier today. They just launched a barrage of missiles. Okay, and they call it something, but it supposedly hit the center of Israel, I believe. And of course, we always encourage the household believers to watch the news. Okay, stay on top of prophecy. Okay, so hey, everything is moving. Okay, and this is what the end look like. All right, it's Matthew 24:3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Right. And Yahweh Shah told us, and another thing that shows you the mindset that the prophets, the disciples was in. The prophets, the disciples, they they was focused on the kingdom of heaven, preaching the kingdom of heaven, but also focused on, when we're going to rule, so what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Right. Because there's prophecies that's going to happen, before, Yahweh Shah make his great return. Okay. And it says, and of the end of the world. So you're living in the end times. All right. And these end time prophecies coming to pass. Okay. And let me jump down. All right. I'm gonna start at 29, and just pretty much flowing through the spirit. All right. And it's a lot of news coming out. Also I seen in the news that Washington is trying to ban companies from forcing their workers to take the microchip. So they already talking about it, or putting those so-called protection laws in place, before it even hit the fan, before the mark of the beast is forced on people. All right. And that's all smoke and mirrors and bullshit. That's not going to protect no one. All right. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the only way you're going to avoid the hour of temptation, I mean, you still got to live through it, but the only way the Lord is, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah, is going to protect you from that time is if you repent. All right. So you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, who are the 12 tribes of Israel, you need to repent and come back to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah. Life is going to keep getting worse. All right. Chaos and more chaos. All right. And more apocalyptic events is going to happen. Okay. So for the Lord, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah, to protect you from all this judgment, okay, you need to repent. Okay. That's the only way you're going to truly escape Jacob's trouble. That's the only way you're going to escape Jacob's trouble, the great tribulation, and the hour of temptation, when the mark of the beast is forced on people. All right. So it says, Matthew 24:29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened. It's talking about Jacob's trouble. So this is after the fact. And it's written in Revelation that the saints, the elect, they have to what? Go through great tribulation. These are they that came out of great tribulation. Okay, so it's no such thing as a rapture. All right. You're going to, suffer that great testing in Jacob's trouble. Okay, Jacob's trouble is going to be a great test. All right, that's going to put your faith to the absolute test. Okay, because none of us never been in a Jacob's trouble situation. Okay. And we understand that it's going to take divine intervention from the Lord protecting us to get us through it. Okay. So Lord willing, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah, protect us through those times. Okay. You have to go through it. All right. Then shall it be known who is the Lord's chosen. You know, because right now you got to think about it. You got all types of, you know, different Hebrew Israelite groups, camps. Um, you got the Yah Israelites, etc., which they going off. Okay, they don't have the correct name nor doctrine. You know, those type of Israelites going to get purged. All right, the Lord is going. You know, even though you got many are called, but few are chosen. Okay, you got prophets everywhere, but not all of them is prophets. Okay. So Jacob's trouble is going to be doing a lot of exposing. All right, you false prophets, you scoffers and mockers. Okay. You know, you lukewarm and cold Israelites. All right, you different Israelites calling on false names and false doctrine. Guess what? You know, the Lord is not going to protect you. You sellouts, you know, Deacon Hakah and Hassad, guys like that. You think the Lord gonna protect them in Jacob's trouble? Fuck no. Okay? Fuck no. All right? Not gonna protect them. So Jacob's trouble is very much needed. Okay? Because there's gonna be a lot of sifting going on. It's sifting going on now. All right, but you're still gonna have agents. Elder Apostle Tahar deemed this year, 2026, the year of apostasy, agents, and sellouts. You know, some of these sellouts and agents, they don't even get exposed until, you know, until in that time. You know, that's why we got to stay prayed up in Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah. You know, you're gonna be finding out certain people is an agent, you know, in Jacob's trouble, or certain, you know, certain brothers are sellouts in that day. You know, so that's why we got to stay prayed up in Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah. Okay, it's gonna be a real bumpy road. Okay. So like I forgot the precept I was going to, but I'm gonna just finish this one. This Matthew 24 and 30. All right, and it says, well, let me start at 29 again. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. You see? So that sign of the Son of Man in heaven is talking about the chariots, the UFOs. Okay? You know, so that day is coming, you know, where the chariots of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah, you know, the so-called UFOs, they're going to cover the sky. You know, you ain't going to be able to number them. They're going to be everywhere. All right? And just whooping ass. Whooping ass. All right? And delivering the elect before nuclear destruction. Okay? And I seen brothers been making those like AI videos. I'm gonna have to do a reaction to one. Okay? Cause it's on point. The reaction video with the spiritual power, we will get spiritual power, but I like how in the AI video it's you know, it has that new system. It shows how it's gonna be after the mark of the beast is forced on people. All right. You know, and the great reset happened. All right, and you see the elect off the grid. You know, even though they're in the city, they're off the grid, you know, but they got spiritual power and the Lord feeding them day to day. Okay. You know, you got the robots and the cops coming around and trying to see if they got spiritual power or if they got the mark of the beast, you know. So hey, that's the future. Okay. You know, and we understand not too long after that, you know, Yahweh Shah is going to come back, like I said. Okay? After the tribulation of those days. Okay? So, you know, Yahweh Shai is going to end Jacob's trouble. Okay? And don't forget what I said last video. You know, the hour of temptation is going to happen within that great tribulation. Okay? You know, it's going to happen simultaneously. All right? So it says, with power and great glory, got that. Verse 31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven to the other. All right? And we can't wait on that day. You know, we can wait. We don't got no choice to wait, but we eager. All right? Us in this truth, we're just patiently thinking, always thinking about it, always looking up, waiting on Yahweh Shai. Okay? You know, so we yearn, we desire that day of salvation. You know? So just keep your faith, Akim and Akwaf. Keep your faith, because, you know, you're going to be looking good when we finally see the chariots, you know, cover the sky, and you see Yahweh Shai coming back. You know, then everybody going to be like, oh shit, them niggas was right. Oh, you know, then, you know, they're going to want to be on, you know. But even before that, you know, they're going to see the men with spiritual power. You know? You know, so that's going to attract a lot of attraction too. But also a lot of attraction from the military. All right? But that's what the spiritual power is for. You know, and that's spiritual power from Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Okay? So this Romans 13 and 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to wake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. Right? You know, so World War III is already on and popping. It's just going to keep growing. It's, you know, it's a, you know, it's just like starting a fire. You got to start the fire. You know, you got to put your twigs in there, your faggots in there, your dead dry sticks in there, etc., etc. You know, and then after that, you can put your bigger pieces of wood. Okay? So World War III is going to continue to get worse and worse. And that's going to motivate, you know, or inspire the rest of the prophecies that come before that to move faster as well. Okay? So Lord willing, us edifying, want to end it and give all praises to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Habakkuk. Double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone, rule and teach well, and honors and salutations to the men of the Lord doing the same, teaching the same.